Oklahoma Gardening is a production of the Oklahoma Cooperative Extension Service as part of the land grant mission of the Division of Agricultural Sciences and Natural Resources at Oklahoma State University, dedicated to improving the quality of life of the citizens of Oklahoma through research-based information. Southwood Landscape and Garden Center, Tulsa's source for great gardens, southwoodgardencenter.com. And the Oklahoma Department of Agriculture, Food, and Forestry, helping to keep Oklahoma green and growing. Welcome to Oklahoma Gardening. On today's program, we're visiting Cleveland County, Oklahoma Cooperative Extension Service office and the Master Gardener Demonstration and Teaching Garden that they have at the fairgrounds in Norman, Oklahoma. Horticulture Extension Educator Tracey Miller visits with a few of the dedicated master gardeners who maintain the gardens and provide educational opportunities to the visitors. We get to see a Native American medicinal garden, a Susan G Komen Garden, a vermicomposter, and Tracey shares some research that she is doing using banker plants for pest control.
Today we're going to go visit one of our 77 counties and look at how OSU Extension is impacting the community and influencing horticulture.
My name is Tracey Peyton Miller. I'm the horticulture educator for Cleveland County Extension in Norman, Oklahoma. Today we're at our demonstration and teaching garden at 601 East Robinson. We're right here at the fairgrounds, and our master gardeners have been taking care of this garden since 2001. It's expanded. We have a lot of new gardens. It's a great thing for our gardeners to be able to do demonstration classes out here, to teach 4-H classes, and to basically just have this open to the public to see how to garden, what are some of the different techniques we can use to garden. We're very lucky. Our 80 to 100 master gardeners, which are active, have this at their disposal to use. And so we do our demonstrations out here. We reach a lot of people. Around 2,500 people a year come to our garden to see what's new with the Cleveland County Master Gardeners. So today we're going to look at a couple gardens in our demonstration and teaching garden, so come join us. Today we're in the Native American Medicinal Garden here at the Cleveland County Extension Office. This garden was established to show some of the medicinal plants that the Cherokee tribe utilized. And today I'm here with Thressa, Guidice, and she helped establish this garden. Hi, Thressa.
Hi, how are you, Tracey?
I'm doing good. So tell me a little bit about what we've got going on here.
Well, Kathy Whittle, who is Native American,
right.
She developed this garden and researched all the plants and planted them, and we try to keep them growing. She's placed them strategically around for the color, and she has all of them labeled so that when people come to see the garden, they can read what the Indians use them for medicinally.
Right. And so she kind of got this idea because she's Native American.
Yes, she did.
Okay. And this garden was actually blessed by Kelly
Yes,
Haney,
who's
the Cherokee chief, I believe.
Right.
Yeah. So this is super interesting, and these plants, you know, go back a ways as far as their medicinal use. So
Yes.
Are there any that are super interesting to you that you found? I think the strawberries were kind of interesting to me, that those were used medicinally.
Right. It's all just mind-boggling to me,
right.
as I am a retired nurse, and the
right.
things that they use these for. A lot of them were used for female problems. A lot of them were used for the bladder.
Okay.
And kidney. And some of it I can see and some of it I can't. But,
right.
And they use a lot of them for poultices and teas.
Okay. Okay.
I don't know
different parts of the leaves or
yes.
roots or flowers.
Yes. Even
yeah.
the roses, and I think they used every part of the
rose hips and the leaves and everything
for different things. So.
And I think this garden, wasn't it professionally designed to look like a dream catcher?
Dream catcher,
yeah.
yes it was.
Yeah.
And
a dream catcher.
She put the fountain in, and then she felt like this was added just the last year, I think, and she felt like those looked like feathers.
Oh yeah.
So she just kind of wanted something else,
some artwork.
Artwork that would attract from from the fence, and when the wind's blowing, which it usually is in Oklahoma,
Right, yeah.
it really looks neat.
It has some nice movement, yeah. Yeah, this is a great garden. It gets a lot of attention during our garden tours.
Yes, it does.
Everybody really likes it. The bubbler makes it very calming. But it's really interesting to kind of walk around and go, gosh, I can't believe that the Native Americans actually used these plants way back when.
And did it really work?
And did it work? Or hopefully it did, because that's all they had.
Yeah, it is.
So, yeah. And so some of the pots are really interesting as well. Are there certain plants that you have in the pots that don't do well maybe in the ground?
Well,
or?
I don't know so much. I know rosemary, of course, and lavender,
Right.
and the basil,
You've got
as
some
I plant
basil.
those.
Yeah.
They do well in the ground, but I think she got these pots from
They were donated from
a master
member.
gardener
Right.
that has
Recently passed. Right.
and so she
Right.
wanted to use those. These you kind of have to watch a little carefully.
Yeah, that's why we've got the drip hose
the
kind of
drip
set up to go
irrigation.
specific
Right.
to each pot, so they
Right.
stay nice and hydrated, especially when
Yes.
it's 102.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the bubbler, does it function on just a reservoir?
It has, yes, it has two reservoirs, one up in the pump and then one down in the ground, and then you just have to keep it filled. But we plug it up.
Yeah.
When people are going to be here, we don't
Right.
leave it plugged up all the time. But
Right. It's a nice feature because at the fairground sometimes we can have a little background noise.
Yes.
And so that water trickling
Yeah.
kind of helps with the serenity of the garden
Right,
and
I
kind of
think-
being able to enjoy it and
Yeah.
and take your time
Yeah.
and
I think it makes it very calming and relaxing, which
Right.
I think is the whole purpose of this garden.
Right,
so.
right.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting that you've got this inner circle of the garden and then you've got the outer circle, so
circle,
you can kind of choose which path you would like to take. It's a little bit elevated, so you kind of feel like you're a little bit immersed in the garden.
Right,
So
right.
it's a nice touch to our Master Gardener demonstration garden.
I think it's just wonderful.
Yeah.
I'm just pleased that I can be a part of it and help
Right.
Kathy with her garden.
Yeah, it turned out really well. This is another one of our gardens here at the demonstration garden in Cleveland County. This is our Susan G Komen Bed, and so it kind of stands for breast cancer awareness, and we've got it all pink. Is that right, Judy?
That's right. It was conceived because we have many master gardeners or spouses of master gardeners who were survivors of breast cancer.
Right.
And so it seemed a logical thing to name it the Susan G Komen Bed in honor of a person who represents kind of breast cancer survivorship.
Right.
And so we planted it with everything pink or shades of pink.
Right. Take us inside. Let's take a look.
So we have probably the primary feature of the garden is this lantana,
It's
perennial
beautiful.
lantana.
Yeah.
And by the end of the summer, it is going to probably double in
Right.
size. And it comes back every year. So that's one that really is an eye catcher.
Showstopper.
Really
Yeah.
showstopper.
Yeah.
Of course, we have the blushing knockout rose.
Right. Which doesn't have rose rosette virus yet,
No,
which is
it
good.
doesn't. And it's been here
good.
since we started this garden in
Okay.
2012, I
Okay,
think.
great.
So it is flourishing well. Of course, we have the Vista bubblegum super
My favorite. I love that petunia.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
and they, by the end of the summer,
Yeah.
this
They'll
will
take
be,
it over,
yes,
right?
they
Yeah.
will. They certainly will. Of course,
Yeah.
we have some sedum
Yeah.
and we have some sage, and of course the pink crepe myrtle itself. This has an amazing surviving
Right,
story because we
right.
transplanted it in the heat of summer from
Okay.
another place in the garden.
And it took?
And it took, I think, 14 months for it to show
To wake
green
up.
growth. And look at it now.
It's beautiful.
Just absolutely
You just can't beat
gorgeous.
crepe myrtles in
No,
Oklahoma.
you really can't.
You
They're
can't.
great in
Yeah.
Oklahoma for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
So we have
And all the pink little touches that you have, the fences and the little bench, and that's a really nice touch to bring everything together.
yeah, it's something that adds a little charm,
Right.
a little hardscape to the garden
Right.
that adds to the overall attractiveness of the pink.
And this
So-
is a mature garden. You said it's
Yes.
been installed since 2012.
Yes.
Okay.
So
And this
it's
was this your
about 5
first
years
garden?
old. This was my first
It was
garden
your first
here.
one
Yes,
when you
it
joined
was.
us.
Yes.
Okay, very
And
good.
of course we have the breast cancer ribbon.
Right, yeah,
down
you've
in
got the
rose
rock
quartz
here.
here.
Mhm,
And
right.
that is, I have had different ways to show that ribbon, but this
Right.
seems to work the best.
Right.
It's visible, and yet it's
And it's rose quartz. How fitting.
And it's rose quartz, absolutely.
Yeah, that's great.
And it's not so obtrusive that it takes
Right.
away from the garden. It really adds to the garden. So
now, what is this? Is this a coneflower you just deadheaded here?
this is agastache.
It's agastache.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
okay.
it's agastache. And
Uh-huh.
it was beautiful in early spring. One of the things I tried to do with this garden was to make sure that we had some beauty
Right.
all through the season. So
Right.
in very early spring, when nothing else is blooming, the agastache
Right.
comes out and it's just stunning.
Right.
And then it'll rebloom a little bit later
Okay.
after it gets cooled down a little bit. It'll rebloom.
And you've got the autumn sage in the back, which
We have
is
the autumn
gorgeous,
sage,
and the
right.
phlox and,
And the
traditional
standing
garden
phlox we just added last year.
Okay. Okay.
And it is expanding. It is growing,
Right.
spreading, which standing phlox does.
It will, yes,
So
yeah.
but right now it's adding I think a lot of nice backdrop
Right,
color to this
right.
to take away from the fence and
Yeah.
all of that.
Yeah.
So.
And then the sedum in the corner is just beautiful.
Yes, and
and the moths and butterflies just love it.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I try not to deadhead it because we also have birds that seem to
Right,
like it as
right.
well, and so it does get a little unsightly when it's
Yeah,
finished blooming,
yeah.
but that's okay because our critters are important
Right,
to us as
that's
well.
right,
So,
that's right. It's just
yeah.
beautiful. And you know, if you're a gardener, you know the garden's not always going to look perfect.
Absolutely.
And there's going to be something that's a little bit off, and that's okay. As gardeners, we understand that.
That's
so,
absolutely
well, it's a
right. So,
beautiful garden, Judy. What gave you, so the idea to do this was just for master gardeners, as kind of an homage to them.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I think we have, as I said, 2 or 3 of my really good friends and master
Okay.
gardeners whose spouses survived
Yeah.
breast cancer.
That's a big deal.
And so it was really meaningful to them when I conceived of the idea
Right,
to do that.
right.
So yep, it really touches
Right.
people's hearts
When they come
to
see
see
it.
it because of breast cancer being so much more survivable than it used to be.
Sure, sure,
But
yeah.
still, we have people we need to remember and
Yeah.
treasure. So there we
Right.
go.
Well, Judy, thanks for showing me the garden. And our gardens are open from 9 until noon with our farmers market, which is typically April through October. So if you'd like to come see us, we're always adding new gardens. So even if you came last year, there's always something new to see. So come see us in Norman. Today we're here with Pat Welty. She's one of our Cleveland County Master Gardeners, and she's going to show us our worm bin today. So tell us what you've got going on here. You've got, what kind of worms are these? They're not the worms that we have in Oklahoma, right?
Oh no, they're called red wigglers. They're Icenia fetida is one of the scientific names for them.
Okay.
And we ordered them off of Google on
Okay, online.
Online.
Okay. Can you
They're-
show us some of these red wigglers?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I pulled some this morning.
Okay.
And
They're kind of shy,
they're-
aren't they?
well, they like to go to the bottom because
Okay.
they like dark and they
There
like
are.
hot.
Yeah.
Warmth and dark and damp.
Is there anything that you can't feed them?
No, do not feed them citrus,
Okay.
meats, dairy, fish.
So very similar to regular composting.
Absolutely,
Okay,
because
except for the orange.
Right. They all those meat and dairy foods attract varmints.
Yeah,
like
and we don't want
rats and-
varmints. We just
no.
want worms.
We do not want rats and yucky things in our bed.
Now,
And
most people keep these like under their sink and stuff, but ours are outside year round.
absolutely, they
Okay.
certainly are.
Now, how do we do that? Are we still putting the light over them in the winter, or just the
no,
cover?
I do not do that. However, one of the ladies did put a light in the bottom of a big flower pot.
Okay.
She ran a cord through
Okay.
here and put a light
And
bulb.
just hung it over.
And no, set it right in there.
Set it right in
and when,
there. Okay.
But you plug it in when it's freezing and unplug it when it's warm because
Okay.
they don't want to cook them. And I lifted the lid up.
Okay.
And the worms were all on top underneath the
light.
the light,
Okay. So
right.
it's just a heat lamp? Or
a
just-
heat lamp.
Okay.
It's
okay.
not a heat lamp. It was just a 40-watt bulb, I think.
Oh, okay.
Not
so
very
you've
strong
got
at all.
You've got newspaper in here too, and that's
Absolutely.
okay to give them because
Absolutely.
the ink-
Newspaper, coffee,
Yeah.
Shredded paper they love. That all
Okay.
needs to be damp.
Okay.
All kinds of vegetables. I've got
Okay.
cantaloupe. Some of my buddies brought worm food today.
Right, and these are from the garden.
These are from our garden buddies. I've got
Okay.
tea leaves.
You got tea. Okay.
Tea bags.
And just
Cauliflower.
Cauliflower choppings. Okay. All kinds of stuff.
Cucumbers.
Yeah.
Lettuce. Celery.
And they just love it.
They love it. They'll eat it. They'll be gone When I come on Friday, it will be gone.
So do they migrate from new to old, and that's kind of how you
Yes,
get,
they do.
Okay.
But I pull out these piles, and I'll show you. I pick the piles up off the top, and the worms are underneath. They
so you
go
just
to
put
the bottom.
worms back.
I throw the worms back.
Because they
pull
won't
off
survive in our native soil.
Oh, absolutely not.
Okay.
Oh,
okay.
see, here's a whole wad. They've
Oh,
gone
my goodness.
underneath.
Look at those guys.
Look at that. Isn't that wonderful? And if you're going to start your own worm bin, it takes about a pound for a container to get a good little harvest colony going to harvest. It takes 2 or 3 months to get a harvest.
Okay.
And I harvest these all summer long. I've been harvesting them this year.
And this is just a cinder block square.
Absolutely.
Just full of all your scraps and newspaper and
shredded and wet.
Shredded and
at
wet.
the bottom, they even like corn cobs.
They don't like to dry out, right?
No,
You've got to
no,
keep them
no.
moist.
Yeah.
Okay. They don't like corn cobs either?
They do.
They do. Okay. So just no
here.
citrus.
No citrus.
Okay.
No butter. No. They don't like pineapple. Look at that.
There was one in there.
I frequently find them. And no seeds. If you put seeds in there, then you're going to have seedlings.
Okay.
I made the mistake of putting kabuka squash seeds in my bin at home. I have a bin at home.
Okay.
And I put kabuka squash seeds in it, and I have beautiful kabuka squash seedlings
There you go.
are growing in my garden.
Right.
That's a flower bed.
That's awesome. So kids love to play with the worms.
Absolutely.
And adults like to play with the worms because
everybody out here loves to play with them. They always come by and say, "How are the worms today?"
But this is an easy way for an urban gardener to compost as well.
Absolutely.
Because you don't need as much space. Okay, so this is a tote that you could use in your home for worms, correct?
Absolutely. I would keep it in the garage.
In the garage? Okay.
Yes.
And just, are you going to want to screen some holes? Or
I'm going to use a drill and drill holes in the sides and the bottom and the top. It needs to be covered because we don't want
no
flies
or maggots
in it.
Okay.
And this one I'll keep in the garden. This one I would keep under my sink.
Okay, just a small coffee can.
A small coffee can.
Okay.
And put something under them to catch the liquid. And holes in the bottom, sides, and top.
So you're just throwing your scraps immediately in there under your sink.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yes, just need to keep it damp. I keep newspaper in it and a bit of dirt on the bottom to start, soil on the bottom to start.
Just regular potting soil, or?
Yeah, just a handful of regular potting soil.
Okay.
Because you don't have compost when you start generally.
Right.
And I can show, this one doesn't have holes in the bottom.
Right.
But it does have worms in it.
Well, this makes it easy when you're giving tours.
Yes.
Because you can just get it out.
Right.
Okay. And there's your worms.
The worms are down here.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. Thank you, Pat.
You're welcome. It's my great pleasure.
This morning I'm going to show you a little bit about my banker plant research. It's for my graduate degree, and it basically focuses on greenhouse biological control, and that is using a good pest or a good pathogen or a good parasitoid to control a bad guy, like aphids. And for aphids we use a lot of different places can use banker plants. And so this is a winter wheat plant, and it's actually infested. Doesn't look so great right now, but it's very effective. It's actually infested with bird cherry oat aphids, which is a cereal grain. So it doesn't affect ornamental plants at all, but it does provide an alternative host for the parasitoid that I'm using called Aphidius colmani. So basically what the parasitoid does is it comes in little mummies in here. This is a carrier, it's buckwheat, and you put these guys out next to your banker plants with your bird cherry oat aphids. It parasitizes the aphids, and then you're able to put them in the greenhouse to control green peach aphid or cotton melon aphid, two of the most common greenhouse pests in ornamental operations. So it's a very effective way to do biological control, to have a little bit of a greener control method for aphids. It's used a lot in Canada, it's used a lot in the Northeast, and so this is kind of a new thing for us to introduce into southwestern greenhouses for pest control. So the banker plant method can be used in a big greenhouse and a small greenhouse. It would just be a matter of adding additional banker plants. Some of the protocols suggest just one plant per 5,000 square feet. Of course, you want to add a plant as you go along in your production cycle. So at week 1, you would start with one banker plant per area and add it later, add additional plants later. So basically, it's a way for growers to promote some green ways of producing crops without as many pesticides. Because the aphids we're talking about are very resistant to insecticides, sometimes you have to spray multiple times. The banker plant's very effective and that there's no resistance to a parasitoid stinging an aphid. So the parasitoid stings the aphid, lays an egg inside the aphid. That egg grows and becomes a larva and consumes the aphid from the inside out. So basically what you're purchasing from some of these companies are what are termed mummies. And that's the pupa of the parasitoid. And so these mummies form on the plant, and then an adult wasp emerges from that mummy and goes to control those aphids again. So again, the beauty of the banker plant is you have a long-term control of these aphids because the parasitoid only lives a couple of days. So by using the banker plant, if you don't have any aphids, you still have those parasitoids present for when you do have a small occurrence of them, and it's very effective. If you want more information about banker plants and greenhouse and interior escapes, we do have a fact sheet through the OSU Print on Demand system. It's fact sheet number 7334.
Today we're doing sweet and spicy pepper salad, and this is a variety of peppers, and it does take a little bit of time to get going, but trust me, it's going to be worth it, and it's something you can definitely do ahead. In fact, I encourage you to do it about 4 hours before you're ready to serve it. So if you've got family coming in, you've got time to still be with the crowd. So we're going to start with the dressing, and I'm going to use the juice from one orange, or if you don't have an orange to juice, but you have orange juice in the refrigerator, it's going to be about half a cup. If you juice it yourself, I encourage you to go ahead and put the pulp in here too. It's in the blender. If you don't like pulp, it's pretty much going to disappear anyhow. And then I've got 2 cloves of garlic that have been minced up. Put those in there. And then a tablespoon of vegetable oil. And you can use whatever kind you've got handy or whichever kind you like. Probably not something that's excessively flavorful, but there's a lot of flavor going on here, so it's probably going to mask anything that would be a stronger one anyway. So this is going to get blended until, or pureed until it's really smooth. Okay, once you get that well blended, well purified to your desire, you probably don't want to have big chunks of garlic in there, but once it's pureed well, set it aside. We're going to get it again in just a minute. All right, get out a nice big bowl, or at least for me it's a big bowl for stirring purposes. And to the bowl I'm going to add 1 jalapeno that I have chopped up fairly finely. Now I seeded it and took the membranes out. I do wear gloves when I work with jalapeno just because I seem to have hands that burn more than some other people do apparently. And if you wanted a stronger pepper in this, you could definitely go with something stronger. If you don't like the heat at all, you could cut back on the amount of jalapeno that you added. I'm also going to add to this 1 mango that's been cut up, seeded and large dice. And then I've got 3 additional peppers. So as I said, this has a lot of pepper in it. There are 4, and they're all different colors, which add so much interest to the dish that people are going to want to try it that maybe don't usually like peppers. So 1 large red bell pepper, seeded and sliced the long way. The same with a green bell pepper, and the same with a yellow. Now, if you only had 1 color of pepper, say all you had was orange. Well, working for OSU, I'm not going to object to that, but this adds a lot more drama when you get the different colors going in there, pulls in a lot more interest, and if you had only had red, you could do that too. Now I'm going to use an apple. This is only half an apple, and I've taken the core out of it and again just sliced it the long way. You could slice this in half again if you wanted to so that they'd be more bite-sized, but the peppers are already so long that people are going to be dealing with that issue when it gets to eating it. So I wouldn't worry about that quite as much. And then I have about 1/3 of a cup of fairly finely chopped cilantro, about 1/4 of a teaspoon of black pepper, and 1/2 teaspoon of kosher salt. And put that in. And if you wanted to, if you're concerned about the salt content, or you just want to make sure that it's not too salty or whatnot, you can go ahead and mix it together and then come back and taste it and see if you need more. You can't ever take it out. That's why that's a good plan. All right, dressing is going over it, and then it's simply a matter of tossing it together so that everything gets coated. Now we do this, in part becomes a marinated salad because it's going to taste better if you can let it sit for about 4 hours. So seal this tightly, put it in the refrigerator. You could put it in a smaller container and seal it well. Let it sit for about 4 hours, and then when you're done, you get this terrific salad with so much color, so much flavor, that I think it's going to be a real delight to your family and those you share it with. I hope you'll give it a try. It's sweet and spicy pepper salad. For Oklahoma Gardening, I'm Barbara Brown.
There are lots of great horticultural events this time of year. Be sure and consider these activities when you're making your plans for the weeks ahead. Next week on Oklahoma Gardening, we'll have more great TV that you'll grow to love. To find out more information about show topics, as well as recipes, videos, articles, fact sheets, and other resources, including a directory of local extension offices, be sure and visit our website, oklahomagardening.okstate.edu. And we always have great information, answers to questions, photos, and gardening discussions on your favorite social media as well. Join in on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can find this entire show and other recent shows, as well as individual segments on our Oklahoma Gardening YouTube channel. And tune in to our OK Gardening Classics YouTube channel to watch segments from previous hosts. Oklahoma Gardening is produced by the Oklahoma Cooperative Extension Service as part of the Division of Agricultural Sciences and Natural Resources at Oklahoma State University. The Botanic Garden at OSU is home to our studio gardens, and we encourage you to come visit this beautiful Stillwater jewel. We wish to thank our generous underwriters, Southwood Landscape and Garden Center, and the Oklahoma Department of Agriculture, Food, and Forestry. Additional support is provided by Pond Pro Shops, Green Lake Nursery and the Garden Debut Plants, and the Oklahoma Horticultural Society. We hope you enjoyed this video. It's part of our Oklahoma Gardening YouTube channel. You can also find even more videos on our OK Gardening Classics YouTube channel. And join us on social media for great gardening tips, photos, and discussion.